And joining me on the phone is Reid Genauer of Strange Folk. How you doing, Reid?
I'm doing great, Mike.
Man, it's been a while since we talked. Always good to hear your voice, and always good to hear you when you're singing, too. So looking forward to the Garden of Eden coming around again next weekend up at J Peak. How did you guys get hooked up moving Eden to J?
You know, it was a funny thing. I think, like, Eric Glockler, our bassist, and our, keeper of the chi, I think he got a Facebook message or saying, and he doesn't even have a phone. He doesn't have a mobile phone, right? So it's kind of ironic that he was the touch point. But saying, hey, we're doing shows there. Would you guys be interested? And it funneled its way through, and we did it last year. We played at Jay last year, kind of last minute, and it was a comedy of errors. We announced the wrong day. We were playing, I think, on a Saturday, and we announced Friday. But we didn't know what to expect. It wasn't, we didn't come into it with preparation or expectations or anything, and it was just turned out to be a magical evening. It was like return to Eden, unofficially. And I think during the show, now granted, it might have been after a couple pops, but I said, hey, we should probably do Eden here next year. And sure enough, we're doing it. So that's kind of how it came to pass.
Because I've got you here for the Hot Lunch special, we usually pick out 4 tunes, and I'm giving the set over to you. So what do you want to hear for tunes, man? What's the first song we should begin with as we get into a set for Reid's set for our Hot Lunch special here? I'm
assuming we're going to stay away from kids songs and early AC/DC. So I had sort of was hoping we could play some of the songs that you first, were drawn to and played on radio years ago.
What song do you want to hear first?
Well, the song I want to hear first is the song that you wanted to hear first, because way back in the day, a guy that I didn't know named Mike Luoma started playing one of our tracks from our first CD, right, which is an album for those of you who didn't live through CDs, and the track's called Lines and Circles.
Awesome. And I did hear this way back when, man. I thought, hey, these guys, they've got something here. To this day, man, it's like it was a great moment. It was like the universe opened up and somebody said, yeah, because you're wondering, are we crazy? You're convicted, but you're insecure, and the universe opened up and said, yeah, we're going to give you a little pat on the back here. And it turns out it wasn't the universe. It was a guy with awesome hair behind a microphone, and that guy is you. Well, I'm glad I could be a part of it, and let's get into this now. It's Lines and Circles in our Hot Lunch special featuring Reid Genauer from Strange Folk picking out the tunes on the point. And that is second song from Assembly of Dust. And we heard Rather Go Fishing and Sometimes and Lines and Circles in our 4-song set, chosen by Reid Genauer, the man whose voice you hear singing along on most of those tunes there. He's on the phone with us and participating with us in our Hot Lunch special a la carte. Second song from Assembly of Dust. Reid, why did you pick an Assembly of Dust song to finish off here?
Well, I mean, I wanted to mainly focus on Strange Folk, in that this is a Strange Folk, return to form with Eden. But Assembly of Dust is going to be playing a late night show on Saturday at Eden, and we have a live album that we called Tales from the Oregon Trail. It was a show from Portland, Oregon, rather. The second song is just kind of a bouncy, fun tune, and it features Mark Caron from Rat Dog fame, who's a fantastic guy and a fantastic guitar player, doing some great almond-like harmonies with Adam Terrell, the guitarist from Assembly of Dust. It's unrehearsed, impromptu, and really unedited. I mean, it was mixed, but in terms of thumb notes or anything, it just is what it is, and it's cool to see the two of them lock in and find those lines. That's why I thought it'd be a fun song.
So you're going to have an Assembly of Dust set as part of Eden?
Yeah, I'm going to be a busy man. We're going to do a Strange Folk acoustic set during the day. Then we're going to do 2 full show, probably 3 hours of music, and then late night AOD is going to, just try and howl at the moon a little bit, and I'm sure that'll be a more, an extended cast.
How does that feel, having kind of like both your babies there at the same time?
It feels good. It was really, what feels great about coming into Eden is we all shared a level of disappointment in 2000 when we went separate ways, and coming back together has been great, but it's also about figuring out who you are 10 years later after having kids and all this stuff. And having another band is an element of complication, and part of it for me is I just really don't want it to be awkward for me, no. And then don't want it to be awkward for anybody else. And so we've all sort of gotten comfortable with each other. The extended, all whatever, 9 of us or 10 of us, and it's become sort of this extended community. And so I'm really excited that we can approach it with comfort and collaboration and togetherness and have it feel like one community and not, not 2 bands doing 2 distinctly different things.
Right.
So it feels really great, actually.
Now, I can remember the old days of Eden, and it's kind of neat that you've decided to revive the Garden of Eden as part of bringing Strange Folk back together. Is it nostalgia, or is it kind of taking things forward and coming to grips with an earlier part of your life again?
I think it's a bit of both. It would be disingenuous to say there isn't an element of nostalgia. It brings us as a band and as a community back to a place in time. But in doing so, you rediscover parts of yourself. And, listening back to old tracks that people have been resurfacing, both, musically and just state of mind, it reminds you, kind of what was special and why it still resonates 20 years later. And as part of that, John and I got together and wrote 3 new tunes that we're going to debut.
Awesome.
And Glock's got a new tune. And so there's a component of nostalgia, but it's something bigger than that. The chance to be sort of reborn in a way.
That's awesome. I didn't realize you guys were going to be debuting some new music.
Yeah, man. We fired up the old creative furnace, and it kicked out a little smoke and coughed a few times, and then it turned out it still worked. Still spits out moonshine.
Awesome. So there's that to look forward to for next weekend for Eden. Awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. It'll be a bit of an experiment, right? It's tough to bust out a new tune in any setting, let alone sort of one where you're under the microscope, but it'll be great.
Now, speaking of bands getting back together, I hear Percy Hill is part of the Garden of Eden.
Yep.
Now, they haven't been together for a while, or did they get back together and I didn't realize it?
No, they had sort of a similar story arc, and they stopped playing for a number of years, and they did a couple reunion shows a few months back that were really well received. I think much like you were asking about Assembly of Dust, Percy Hill was always part of, like a cousin band. And in fact, 2 of the guys from Percy Hill wound up playing in Assembly of Dust. Right. So it's a collective of personalities, of musicians, and of fans that really are pretty, cross-pollinated. So it feels very contiguous, if that makes sense.
So it sounds like it's going to be its own little community up there on the mountain this coming weekend.
It most definitely is. I don't know if you followed the social media, the Facebook and whatnot, but you can feel a palpable, something palpable. There's an excitement, but it's something more than that. It's, for those who got it, for those who subscribed, they got it, right? And they got something more out of it than just the music. People met spouses and girlfriends and lifelong friends, including myself, even beyond the band. And, there are many different variations of this, depending on what the band is, but there's a Strange Folk thing. There's a Strange Folk state of mind, a heart, and I think people are excited to touch it again. I know I am.
It's kind of got me flashing back to 20 years ago, which I didn't realize it was 20 years ago until I saw you and John did something where you were playing online and talking about 20 years in the past, and actually brought up my name as part of it, which is, where you kind of hear about things. It's like people are saying, "Hey, did you hear Reid and John were talking about you on Jam Bands?"
Yeah.
How did that come about?
That was just coincidental. So they have different. We had participated in this thing where they did other bands playing Dead covers, acoustic versions of Dead covers. So he and I had done that, and then they did another series, which was 20 years later, and it was bands covering records that came out in 1996, and they used "So Well," which is one of our songs, which says, the refrain says 20 years gone by, as the bumper for the whole series. So if you watch any one of those videos, it starts with just an instrumental part of "So Well." So it's kind of a subtle nod, doesn't actually use the lyric. And then they invited us to come and participate in that. And we did Sixth Avenue Heartache, the Wallflowers tune. We did a Black Crowes tune. And then we did a Gillian Welch song. We did 3 tunes, and we did some original stuff in both sessions. And it's cool. It just lined up. And actually, it was coincidental that it was the 20-year anniversary. We just decided to do it and then realized that it was the 20-year anniversary after the fact.
Well, that was pretty awesome. And I got to say, we're all looking forward to heading up to Jay Peak and for the Garden of Eden next weekend. And I want to thank you for calling in today and talking a little bit about, the music and what we can expect. And, if there's anything else you want to let people know about before next weekend, now is the time.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else, burning. I think, the summary for me is it's a great venue. The band and the fans are aligned, and it's fun to have the sort of satellite bands as part of it. For those who knew us and again got it or liked it, it should be a great revisiting of a time past. And for those who just kind of heard the name and are curious, we will be there with a few more wrinkles and a few more stories to tell, but hopefully, the same heart that we brought to it years ago.
Well, Reid, I want to thank you for calling in and providing us with our hot lunch special a la carte, a la Strange Folk today, with some Assembly of Dust help. It's been great to talk to you, man. Thank you again. Yeah,
likewise, man. My pleasure. The Strange Folk burrito for veggie burrito for lunch. All right, take care and have a good day, Burlington.